Well, you have probably noticed some big changes that are happening at Little Grassy Lake over the past several months. That lake has been drained over safety concerns. Well, officials say that the aging spillway has just reached its life expectancy, and they do want to address that issue before it can become more of a problem. Well, I'm joined now by Justin Sexton. He's with the Crab Orchard National Wildlife Refuge. Justin, thank you for joining us today.
You're welcome.
Well, tell us some of the reasons why the draining of the lake had to happen.
Absolutely. So Little Grassy Dam is categorized as a high hazard dam. So this means that if it fails or is compromised in any way, there could be loss of life or property. So due to regulations in high hazard dams, we do inspections on the dam. So in 2022, during the inspection, we noticed a 3-foot diameter circle void pretty much going all the way through the spillway. And so we filled it up, we fixed that, patched it, but started looking more into, why was there a void under the concrete, and did some GPR, which is ground penetrating radar underneath, and saw all these anomalies. And so in that moment, we activated our emergency action plan, which is a 4-foot drawdown at that time to keep water from going over the spillway, and then looking at how to repair the dam.
Okay, all right. Well, that kind of brings me to this. So there's a safety study underway that looks at the things like the integrity of the spillway and of the dam. Is that what you're talking about, or is that something separate?
Yeah, that's something separate. So to drain the lake, we're at the 4-foot drawdown. So basically, we looked at localized weather events that were coming. Hurricane Helene was a trigger for us. Looking at that over 4 inches of water rain in one event could activate the spillway. So then we decided in the emergency action plan to completely drain the lake, because right then we were using a valve that was built in 1941 to actually release water to keep it down, and we can only draw down about 2/10 a day. So in an event of 4 inches of rain, it would have activated the spillway. And this past April, we had a 7-inch rain, which would have been another event that would have activated the spillway. So that was kind of separate. So we just we hired the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers to do a dam safety modification study for the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service on our behalf to look at an alternatives analysis, where they would look at the different alternatives to fix the spillway, and they all have different measures. And so it's a 2-year study that will be a feasibility study looking at what's wrong with the dam, collecting data, doing some modeling, but also how to repair that dam, to repair the spillway, so that we can have another 50 years of Little Grassy Lake.
Sure. Now, the study that you're talking about, is that going to be open for public comment or viewing? So
the part of the study is that we're going to do an environmental assessment, which is following the NEPA process, the National Environmental Policy Act, to where we will have all these alternatives, have tentatively selected plans, and allow for public comment on each one of those alternatives. So the public will have a certain period of time where they will provide public comment back on what they think, which alternative should be selected and why.
Okay, well, that makes sense, and I'm sure that that's part of the process, is to give the public their say.
Absolutely. Sure. So yeah, that law makes the federal government ask for public comment. We don't have to necessarily follow what everyone suggests, but we do take those comments and try to plug those in where appropriate, and make changes if that's seen to be the right thing to do. So yes, the public will comment on the alternatives, on like how to fix the spillway, everything from a full rehabilitation to partial repair, and they'll be able to comment on that.
Great. Okay, voices heard then.
Yes, ma'am.
What does it take, or what are the next steps to get the lake back to normal?
So we'll go through this 2-year study process. Right now, we're still looking at the existing conditions and doing some modeling, and we'll actually go through the environmental assessment that I met with the public comment. Through this dam safety modification study, we'll actually get a 30% design with cost associated with it. So once we select, after the NEPA process, we'll select a tentatively selected plan. It'll be the selected plan then that will go out for a design, and then do a construction project and rehabilitate the dam. But we're looking at a project this size and this scope. It'll be many construction seasons. So we're looking at several years here, and I know that causes a little bit of heartburn, but this is a pretty massive project, and we definitely want to do it and do it the right way.
Of course you do. And that's just for the sustainability of the lake moving forward.
Absolutely. Folks have enjoyed it for almost 80 years, and we'd like to try to ensure another 50 years for the next generations to enjoy Little Grassy Lake in the same manner.
Well, is there anything else that you'd like to add about the lake?
So the lake is still open. Many people have asked if it's closed. It's still open. We just caution people that as that lake is drawn down, and it's almost drawn down all the way, that they could get stuck in the mud. So we do ask people to be cautious when they're walking around the lake. And also, we don't allow any metal detecting or any digging due to cultural resources. But if they see bottles and cans that they'd like to pick up, we're happy for them to remove trash from the area.
Sure, and help beautify it while the water's down.
Absolutely. It's going to be completely vegetated, which going into this next phase, the fishery perspective, there'll be a lot of great fishing, a lot of great recreation for years to come.
Thank you so much for all of the information. And I know that you have filled in some gaps for our audience. They have a lot of questions about what's happening at the lake.
Yes, ma'am.
All right, Justin, thank you for coming in today.
Thank you.
Oh, very much.
Appreciate it.